Boys and girls, we have a travel edition here. So once again, we're traveling and we have a beautiful knife here. This one is Vector from Benchmade. Shout out to Kyle. There was some knife swapping action happening. Kyle is a fellow knife lover, knife connoisseur, and thanks to him, we have this knife to review and to handle and to see what it's all about. So this is Vector, and if you look on Benchmade website, the Vector comes with the designation 495. However, this one is 496. It's special enough that it has its own number. This one is currently discontinued. You will not find it on a Benchmade website. The 495 is still for sale. It's about $320, I believe. Back in the day, so 495 was introduced in 2016. Eventually, they introduced the 496 in 2019, and it has now been discontinued. The special thing about this knife, it's Benchmade's first compound grind blade, and it's made from 20 CV steel. Very premium, very nice steel. When we're talking about compound blade grind, that means that two different grinds have been done on this blade. Why do knife companies do this? As you know, different grinds have their own strengths and weaknesses. There's pros and cons to everything. For example, in this case, on the tip part of the knife, we have something what is called like a flat grind, but because it's not going all the way, sometimes it's called Scandi grind. It's a very strong, provides for a very strong tip, possibly for a piercing action. You can see that this knife has a little bit of a spear point going on over here, right? And in this part of the blade, there's a recurved edge, but also the hollow grind, kind of like what you would find on a Buck 110, right? It makes it very thin behind the edge, very, very thin, very nice slicer, right? If you do it all the way out like that, that's fine. This knife is going to be very, very slicey, very good for food prep, for whatever else you may have, right? If you do this flat or Scandi grind all the way through, that's fine, and many blades are made that way, but they're not very slicey in that instance, right? They're not very good for food prep. They're not very good for a lot of daily tasks. This knife is EDC. It comes in a blue box. I don't have a box here, but just believe me on that information. So when you have a compound grind, you have a chance to kill two birds with one stone. It's a little harder to do. It's more expensive, and as a matter of fact, this knife was more expensive. The 496 was more expensive than 495. Let's talk about the specs of this knife. The overall length, as you see it like so, it's 8.42 inches. And just the handle length, like if I close it down, is 4.82 inches. So 4.82, 8.42. Just mix those numbers and you get the answer somewhere in there. The blade length is 3.6. Kind of like, this is a full size knife territory. Just the cutting edge is 3.5. That's due to the kind of oversized sharpening choil. Believe me when I tell you, even before I have any experience with this knife is going to be a little harder to sharpen. Thankfully, we have Benchmade's life sharp guarantee, right? So maybe, you know, if you have this luxury when you can part with your knife for a week or so, or a couple of weeks, you can send it to Benchmade. They will sharpen it. 20CV steel has incredible edge retention and also incredible stainlessness properties. In fact, it's more stainless than MagnaCut. The cons of this steel, some say it doesn't have as much toughness. And that is correct. Incredible edge retention, incredible stainlessness. We're giving up a little bit of that toughness, or a lot, depending on how you want to look at it. And by the way, that is why it's a good idea to have that tip reinforced like that. If you look at it in this way, you can see that the tip part is a little thicker. There's all this cutaway in the middle where you have all that slicey action going on, you know, and so that is one way to deal with kind of deficiency in toughness, is with the blade geometry. You can overcome a lot of potential things where if the steel is lacking in some regard, you can completely overcome that with blade geometry, and that's what's happening over here, you know, with this candy grind, which is probably the strongest tip possible. You know, if you're looking for some puncturing action, for some stabbing action, you know, you cannot ask for anything better than that. So and again, the slicey with the hollow grind, there's nothing better than that. You have best of two worlds over here. Some people are complaining that this sharpening choil is too big. I think it's great. It's kind of ostentatious looking, kind of obnoxious. It's oversized. And I've heard some opinions floating around online. Oh, just make it bigger and have it to be a, finger choil. I disagree with those opinions. I also disagree with those who say it's too large. You need it to be at least that large because sharpening of this knife is not going to be an easy task. Everything helps. In this case, this, and you'd be the judge. I don't think it's that oversized. I think it's properly sized. And everything about this knife is kind of ostentatious. It's kind of done in a manner that kind of attracts attention in a way. For example, the pivots are, specially stylized in this star-like design over here on both sides. Even though it looks a little different than any other Benchmade knife, it is still a T10 screw in here. So if you are wondering about that, it is a T10. So I have a T10 tool, as you can see, and it's a T10 screw over here, right? And for some reason, it's a screw on both sides. Usually that's not the case for Benchmade knives, but this one is an assisted opening knives with the flipper, which is a very, very unusual once again for Benchmade. So this is how you open it. You just put on the flipper and the knife opens like so, right? The crossbar lock is very quite usual for Benchmade. That's what Benchmade is kind of famous for. They're the ones who invented it back in the day. But even the tab over here, it's stylized a little bit differently in kind of a gear-shaped 6-side star gear fashion, right? Very unusual, right? Also, the overall design is kind of like taking some cues from a Crooked River, At least this bolster is aluminum, just like Crooked River, and the handles are G10. It has a full-size steel liners. They're going all the way through, and usually a design like that provides for a sturdy feeling. Benchmade is famous for grievery. This is not grievery. The grievery has an appearance and the feel of lightweightedness. And some people claim it feels flimsy or something that you wouldn't trust with harder tasks. I don't think so. I think Griever is very tough material. It's glass-filled nylon, but it does have the appearance of something very lightweight, very manageable to carry. And this is a Benchmade bug out. It's got all the standard hallmarks of any Benchmade knife, right? For example, the pivot is going to be T10, but you only need a T10 on one side. It's not the case. The other side is just flat. It's not doing anything. Over here, we do have that star on both sides. Very unusual and kind of cool design by Benchmade. This is a deep carry pocket clip. Again, it's stylized a little differently than the standard Benchmade pocket clip over here. And the G10, even though it's still some sort of plastic, but it has the appearance and the feel of a stronger knife, something that will withstand, you know, some like action, some hard work. This flipper works really well. Some people say it's a fast-acting opening knife. It's kind of like a slouchy acting, you know, it's a slow opening knife, but very secure still. It opens every time with the deliberate forcefulness, but in a slow kind of. But so this has got a stopper here, right? The stopper only works one way for Vector 496. I can still close it, right? But it won't open once the stopper is engaged. And you guys can comment whether that's normal or maybe something wrong is with this particular one. Because, for example, I have this boost over here. This is a Benchmade assisted knife as well. It's got a more traditional opening with the thumb stud over here, right? And this stopper works both ways. Like right now, I won't be able to close it. And let's say if it's closed and I engage the stopper over here, I won't be able to open it now, right? So it works both ways. I'm not sure exactly what's happening with this working one way. Maybe I need to send it to, you know, to Benchmade for service, because it doesn't work for closing, but it will work to not open it again. And again, if you look, this is Emissary. It's also another assisted opening knife for Benchmade, also discontinued. If I engage the stopper, it will work for both closing or opening. It will not open, right? So that's how I understand the stopper works. Usually it works both ways. Possibly there's something wrong with the action. And maybe, you know, I will send it to Benchmade if that's the case. Maybe you guys can comment on this in the comments if I may have something faulty over here going on. So the blade width is just over an inch. It's 1.13 inches, right? The thickness is 0.11 inches this way, which is, it's not too thick. It's kind of thinnish. I mean, some blades are much larger. I know the bug out is a little thinner, right? But it's the bug out is just a flat grind all the way with the you know, it's kind of slicey. But of course, if this was a hollow grind, it would be even slicier. So I'm kind of curious to see this guy might even outperform the bug out in the sliciness category while still having this, you know, great puncturing ability. So the steel is 20 CV. If you guys don't know, there's a super steel out there called M390, and 20 CV is that same steel. The only difference is the M390 is made by Böhler. I understand they're like in Germany or Austria, somewhere in Europe. And 20 CV is made in the United States by Crucible. I heard that company got sold or bankrupt or something. We may not even have 20 CV, but it's exactly same type of steel. It's a super steel. just like M390. Incredible stainlessness, like unparalleled stainlessness. And then great edge retention. I'm a big fan of M390. I don't have any experience with 20CV, but this 20CV being same as M390, I'm expecting to just like it a lot. The hardness is 59-61, very respectable, great, hardness as far as that's concerned. Like you cannot ask for anything better than that. And then the blade style is drop point. It is a drop point with this kind of a curved belly over here. The other model, the 495 Vector, it's got more of a kind of perfect spear shape. However, that one does not have a compound grind. All that one is candy ground on the bottom here, so that's good for puncturing, maybe not as good for slicing, food prep, and whatever else. The finish is satin, which is like, it's not too shiny. You can see the grind marks everywhere. They go different way, whichever way this has been done. All of this is done by hand at the Benchmade factory by their trained professionals. So if you like follow really closely, you can see that these two sides, they're not exactly the same, they're not exactly matching, but that's kind of the gives this knife some character. In fact, the first knife I ever bought, I was so upset that I noticed that there's a little discrepancy between the sides for a Benchmade, and I returned it and I asked for them to replace it, and they sent me a knife that was perfect, right? But now retrospectively, I wish I didn't do that, because it's totally okay for these knives to have a little bit of a character. It's still all within spec. It's still very nicely done. You can see that this is a little thinner than over here. If you if some people are OCD about these things, it might have a little discrepancies. But if it's nothing too crazy, like what if one side is not ground at all, right? Like if they forgot, that's an issue. But if it's ground and there's like little discrepancies, that's all about the character for these knives. And I'm kind of from the height of my experience with knives at this point, I'm kind of appreciating that more and more. All right. The handle width is 1.25 inches, and I think that's probably this thickest part. I also like that flipper tab is gonna work well for your gorilla handle grip. It's gonna stay in your hand very securely this way. The handle thickness is 0.6 inches, right? So just over half an inch. Very comfortable, not too large, not too small by any means. This is a full-size knife, but sometimes, even a full-size knife may feel, you're not getting a full grip. Like, for example, crooked reaver. I can never get a full grip on a crooked reaver. I don't get I'm always a little unsure. Like, I wouldn't do a lot of stabbing with crooked reaver, but this a flipper tab that's coming up over here works as a hand stop, and it makes you feel it gives you more confidence with handling this knife. So the G10 scales are OD green. As far as I understand, that was the only color available for this model and this model number 496. For some reason, something didn't work. It got discontinued, and we don't know what happened. I can give you some ideas what may have happened. Maybe it was just not selling enough. Maybe that was the case, or maybe it sold a lot, and people send it in for resharpening with Benchmade, and Benchmade keeps sharpening these knives, and they don't want to deal with that. I don't even think that's possible. I think that would be, I would be very surprised if that was the case. Who knows? Maybe this color scheme didn't work for some people. Maybe this 20 CD was not as abundant as Benchmade had hoped. Maybe the closing of Crucible factory affected the production, who knows. But as far as I'm concerned, this blade, this whole knife is just gorgeous, amazing, and everything about this knife I love. Some people, like, for example, this flipper tap is very unusual opening mechanism for Benchmade. And you know, you kind of have to deal with that. That's how you open Benchmades, right? You can use a thumb stud, right? Any which way you want. You can use a backwards thumb stud opening. But I am a big fan of flipper tap opening. And honestly, like, if you don't go for a vector knife, I don't know another. I'm sure there are some older models, but right now this is probably the only model with an opening like this, and it works very well with an assisted opening. So the weight is 4.5 ounce, right? So is that a lot? Is that not a lot? Some say it is. I don't think so. Very comfortable. I already carried it for 2 days straight. For example, this is a mini Adira, you know, it's about 3.5 ounce. This is an ounce heavier. I guess it is. For some reason, Adira feels, no, it's lighter. Of course, it's lighter. It's mini Adira is lighter by 1 ounce, and of course, I mean, if you're talking about the bug out is under 2 ounce, 1.8 ounce. I mean, that's nothing. 4.5 will be heavier than those knives, but it feels very manageable. And with the way this knife feels, you're kind of expecting that that weight. This weight is very appropriate with this G10 providing like that, you know, sturdy feeling to the whole thing. You can carry it left hand side or right hand side. I already replaced this pocket clip for the left hand side carry, but you know, you have these holes for the right side carry, and you can only carry it tip up, right? And some people don't like it. I actually prefer for all my knives to be tip up, so this works for me just perfectly. We already discussed it. It's a spring assisted knife, and that spring assistance works very, very well. This flipper works very well. That's what the knife should be for me. In all honesty, I wish all knives were like this. This flipper works as a stopper for your hand. It gives you confidence when using the knife. It gives you a very confident opening action. I like this style of action, right? Crossbar lock, I mean, that's what Benchmade is famous for. They're not gonna depart from this. This is what put Benchmade on the map. This is their signature thing. So that's kind of to be expected. So this Vector 496 features that, and kind of good thing it does. So for everyday carry, absolutely. It comes in a blue box. Some say that maybe it's a tactical application. I don't think so. I think it's for EDC. I mean, you can just like whittle or something with a tip. It's gonna be plenty tough, not because of the steel. The steel is not necessarily the great toughness, but the grind is toughness inducing. So it will work for you. It's got the sliciness going, so you have the best of two worlds over here. And then if we have to compare sizes, I mean, some say size doesn't matter. What do you think of this? The Emissary, it's an old knife, of course, but it's the same size, just about the same as this. Of course, this is Osborne design. Mr. Osborne gave us some amazing knives over the years. It feels very nice in the hand. It's gonna be a different experience with this knife. It's got aluminum handles. This blade shape, it's totally different, and it makes you feel a little different when you're handling it. In a way, I kind of feel like this knife, I don't know, just that flipper tab gives me so much confidence when handling this. I kind of feel like this is, all knives should be kind of like this. And you know, when I first saw this, compound grind, my first thought is like, oh no, I have two thoughts. First thought is like, Benchmade, why? It's going to be so hard to sharpen. It's going to be like a nightmare. And second thought, this is my favorite thing. It is give and take, right? So the Pro, you have two different grinds working in unison for different tasks. This knife is more versatile than any other knife out there. The con is you have to learn how to sharpen it. It's not going to be easy, but at the same time you have the Benchmade's Life Sharp guarantee. You have that really nice sharpening choil. So you have to work with what you have here, and what you have here is a lot of awesomeness, right? A lot of knife. The Mini Boost is gonna be smaller. It's a smaller knife. If Emissary is about the same, even though a different feeling knife, but it's about the same in size. Boost is smaller. Mini Adira is smaller. Mini Adira is not a full-size knife. We have an Adira, and that one is going to be in this category, like this knife. We can compare Mini Adira to the Mini Boost. That's more of a proper comparison, and we can see that they are in the same category over here. The bug out, it's not a mini, right? If we have to nitpick, bug out will end up being larger by a tiny margin than Mini Adira and Mini Boost. And it's not necessarily a big knife. It's going to be smaller than Vector, but it is not a small knife. Just hopefully you guys already know this, but if not, I'm happy to share my thoughts and ideas on that. Do you guys want to see this next to a multi-tool? This is the 3P2. I love 3P2. It's smaller than the Arc. It's smaller than 3P4. It's a little narrower, very manageable in the pocket. Great tool. Free technology. Go get yourself one if you don't have it. And about this Vector, I don't know if you can get it. You can still get the 495 on the website, Benchmade's website, but the 496 has been discontinued, has been sold out. It's somewhere in private collections. It's on eBay for some reasonable price, for some not so reasonable price, just depending on where you look. My verdict, this is my favorite thing right now. I'm just amazed with this knife. It's got amazing qualities, which I value just as a knife lover. All the things that I'm seeing here, first of all, I always like this thing, the assisted flipper tap. Assisted flipper tap, I mean, that's the way to go. If you're gonna be assisted, make sure you have a flipper. It just works so well. It's such a good idea. Give this type of action a try, even if it's not going to be a Benchmade Vector 496. This is a really good idea. It works very well. It keeps your hand out of the way. I mean, you can learn to use thumb studs with this one. You're kind of forced to do it. You don't have any other way to do this over here. Well, I guess you are forced to use a flipper tap, but the flipper tap is so natural. It's so kind of like that's what you have to do it. It works fine, and so does this. I mean, but my preferred way is actually something like this. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a travel edition. Again, you understand this is not the usual setup, but thanks for sitting through this and enjoying this knife. Drop your comments, likes, whatever you have there. Please share.